right, if your impeller is not spinning when you're working, when you're driving the spreader, and you're sure that this pin is not broken, and that pin is the first one you check, and if that pin is intact, but yet this impeller won't turn, that's what we're going to look into next. And what that is where this impeller rod comes down in here, there's a ring and pinion gear, and there's a roll pin in there. And if that breaks off, everything looks fine. This will even turn when you're just driving it normally, let's say on a driveway. It'll turn just off of friction, but as soon as fertilizer drops on it, it'll slow way down, may not even turn at all at that point. And it's hard to detect what's wrong because everything looks fine. If that pin's intact, then we have a roll pin in here, and that's what I'm going to show you how to fix. It's as simple as loosening up the 4 bolts on the hopper. Reason for doing that is because where this rod fits up into there, we just raise the hopper up a little bit, and then this will lean out forward to us. We have these 3 screws right here to take out. Once you get those 3 screws out, this whole impeller and this rod will come out, and you can take that right to the bench and take a punch and tap out the roll pin, which we're going to do, and put a new one in. It's these 4 bolts that we have to loosen. That one, and the other 2 on the other side. And underneath, this is what they look like. Right here, one right back there, this side, this one, and that one coming down right back there. All right, I grabbed a number 11. That's what size it is. And I grabbed a 7/16 just so I could use it in case I needed my gear drive here. I didn't have 11 with a gear drive. All right, I've taken the nut off of underneath the hopper here in 3 places. I left that one on. I didn't need to take the 4th one off. All right, we're going to take these 3 screws out, and it's a number 8. All right, let's get that out of the way. What we have here is where your pin is. So we're going to lift the hopper up. This pin is not broken, so what's going to happen is this impeller is actually going to spin as I move it forward. And we can take it out. All right, here's what we're looking for. This piece is like this. You pull it back, there's your pin. And again, for a close-up, there is the pin right there. Tap that out, put your new pin in. And here is what we have on the inside. That is the other gear, and this is what makes the impeller spin. What I would do when you have this out, now especially washing it and everything, you may actually have water in it. You may have to turn it upside down. If you get any water in there, let it drain. But I pump this in here with a bunch of grease before I put it back together. I just fill the whole thing. All right, the easiest way to get this pin out is lay it on a vise. Mine just seems to fit perfect. Every vise might be a little different, but I lay it on here. There's the pin that you need to replace. It's a roll pin. All right, you need a 1/8 punch. Put it there, tap it through. Of course, I'm doing this one-handed here. Tap that through, and then tap your new one in. Line it up and tap your new one in. One-8 inch punch. Tap the broken parts out. As you can see here, I'm tapping it through right here, in there, out here. So if this was your new one you were putting in, you would do just the opposite. Actually, you can use the big end of your punch because it doesn't have to go through, and just tap it until it's flush, and there you go. You can see that is in there, it's fixed. This now does not turn on the shaft. Now what I've done to replace that roll pin by tapping the old broken one out and tapping in a new one in on this gear, the same thing goes for the top of the impeller. There's the same type roll pin. This one's a little bit longer. There's the other side. It's the same thing. So if you break that one, you want to tap it out just the same, put it on the vise, tap it out. As you can see, the rod is laying on the metal here. The rod on the metal and the rod on the metal. So it's solid. When you go to tap on that pin, you're tapping on it solid to the vise and on the rod. But there's a roll pin there and there's a roll pin there. And those are the two roll pins that you want to look at besides the center Carter pin in the axle. Those are three things that will make your impeller stop turning. If your impeller stops turning or isn't spreading fertilizer like it should, check these pins. Obviously the Carter pin on the axle first because it's visible, then this one on top here because it's visible, and if those all look good, you'll have to loosen the hopper up and take this out. It doesn't take long at all, and I did it by myself, so if you have any help, it'll go that much quicker. All right, the tools that you're going to need to replace the roll pin that's inside the gear case for the impeller when your impeller quits turning are very simple. You're going to need a 1/8, actually I could turn that around so you could read it, 1/8 inch punch. You're going to need a number 11 for taking the hopper loose. 4 bolts, very simple. You're going to need a number 8 for the 3 screws on top of the pinion gear, which is right here. To get those screws out, it's a number 8. And then a small hammer. This one's a little bit big, but a small hammer just to tap the roll pin in. And I like to do it on a vise just because it's a solid working surface and makes pins easier to tap in or to tap out. That's all you need to do this project. Now the roll pin that you need is 1/4 inch outside diameter by about 3/4 of an inch. And if you get one that's too long, it'll rub on this housing here. So a good pair of wire cutters, you can actually shorten it if you need to. But that's basically 3/4 of an inch long. And it's a 1/4 inch outside diameter. Make sure to get stainless steel. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this up, pack that with grease. Angle that down a little bit more. Inside here, I'm going to grab the grease gun and I'm going to pack that full of grease. This is the number 8. Get these 3 started. Barely snug them up because it's just a screw into plastic. And out there all tight. We want to make sure this is all lined up, and then we're going to put the hopper back on. Simple 3 bolts left. Go, and it's in the proper spot. That one, this is the hardest one to get to. I normally try to hold the nut on the bottom and just turn the bolt on top. I think it's time for word of advice. This is the one I would leave the nut on and take the other 3 off. This is the most difficult one to restart. There we go. Got it that time. Yes. There we go. And that is it. Remember, 3 things that can cause the impeller to quit spinning: the pin in the axle, the roll pin in the pinion at the bottom of the impeller shaft, or the roll pin in the impeller itself at the top here. The most difficult one we just did, and as you can see, with a little patience, it's very easy.